All right, dude. I'm gonna start the recording. I should have already had it going. Oh, this is such a cool talk. Okay. All right. All right. So, um, I'll do the intro and all that stuff later. I don't know. I'll just put it like an audio thing. So,
No, just go ahead and hit it for the intro.
okay. So guys, this is Taryn. I would say you guys have already met him. I'll let him tell you. Taryn, are you planning on making a channel anytime soon?
Um, I might recreate my channel from the ground up. I'm not exactly sure just yet,
Okay. Well, since
but
I'm
I am
using,
in considering it. Though I
well,
am considering.
well, like I'm using the name that I created that I feel like matches my soul. Sylderon. It's just maybe you could create your channel off of Lei'Sho or the rest of the name because I'm not gonna pronounce that. I'm just I'll just do
Yeah, I
Lei'Sho for
originally
short.
had it for a story. I was going. What was it? Something to do with some aliens off some far off planet who could use lightning as a weapon. I called them Fulgari or something. I did that because I was trying to do some research on what lightning was in Latin, and I did find that. So I was like, screw it, I'll do it like this, and I'll have their language uh, be Fulgari, which I actually ended up having to make the lettering, like the actually ended up having to make a little bit of the written language,
Hmm.
in which I did it on a crown as rubies. No, not as rubies, as sapphires. So sapphire laden words on a crown. On the crown that marked that you were the king of the Fulgari. And I rather liked how it turned out because while I can't remember what I had it say, I still remember that I had made the written language of the Fulgari.
Hmm.
And I just remember being so proud, despite the fact that the teacher who was grading it didn't like it because I had apparently screwed up in a lot of different places. Never mind that.
Yo, hey. That was your creation, your baby, your seed. You
Yeah,
made
I'm
that.
like,
Be proud. Hell yeah.
I was. I mean, I had done something that I was so proud of myself in. Like, she may have graded it kind of harshly and gave me a D, but I was like, you can give me whatever grade you want.
Hey. A
I am
D
damn
is
proud of what I
passing,
made.
dude. A D is passing.
Yeah, but it's like, I really don't want to get a D, but I'm just so proud of this.
It's not like you can hold my creation to your standards. Like you can't go. You can't. Categorize that as an A, B, C, or D, or F, or whatever kind of thing you can, because this is something that I created. I utilize my creator's energy to make this. You know.
And like, in my opinion, it's like, you really can't put a grade on do you did you learn this or not?
Hmm.
Because there are some people it's like they won't be able to recall it off the top of their head, but they did learn it because they're doing it without remembering how to do it.
Right.
Because for some people it's more they can't audibly or verbally they can't verbally or by hearing or talking about it they can't get it off the top of their head, but by maybe reading it or by actually doing it, can someone learn? And that's part of the why I got a bit of a problem with the school system today.
You're not.
Because
Yeah. Go ahead. Excuse me.
because for one, school is based on back in the 1800s, factory jobs were a lot of the jobs back then. Like 80 to 90% of the jobs, excluding farmers. Factory jobs were a lot of the job market back then. So we had to teach kids how to stay still, how to sit in one place, how to be able to at least learn how to read and how to do basic math. So that's why schools were created by the government in the early 1800s.
That's some profound
And
stuff right there.
here's the funny thing. You want to look at the first cars, the Model T Fords of like 18 whatever.
Yeah.
They were rudimentary at best. Look at cars now. They have changed so much. And look at, I don't know, look at TVs when they first came around. Couldn't even do anything in color. Could only do black and white. Look at TVs now. We've got TVs that know whether or not you're playing Netflix or whether you're playing a game or whether or not you're even in the room.
Wait, so
based on a few smart bits of technology.
Where do you stand in the where do you stand in the discussion about whether, modern schooling, or no, where do you stand in the discussion of whether schooling is the way to go, or the way that schooling is now is the way to go, or if it's not the way to go? Because I personally, I've spoken about this so many times to teachers because I just don't give a fuck. I'll speak up to teachers. It's just the type of person I am. The way that I saw school, I mean, literally, our parents are giving us into care of adults that they either know or don't know, but still just some adults. And you're gonna teach me, and you're gonna answer the questions I have about life, because this is a good portion of my life that I'm spending in school, right? So I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna ask a question. You're gonna answer my question. And you're gonna respect me because I'm the one who's learning from you. You know what I'm talking about? So, I wasn't trying to be arrogant. I just hate the fact. I just hate how teachers, will want you to do the whole, sit down, be still, because this is, again, the thing that they've taught, that they were teaching, back in like the 1800s, because there were a lot of factory jobs. They wanted you to sit down, be still. They weren't accommodating education to individual persons. They were doing it to a certain standard, kind of like what Common Core is. They have a perfect student.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can also bring up another thing. The A, B, C, D, F grading. Yeah. That was based on quality work in a factory, so that way those kids would be prepared for factory work. But look at today. We've got so many diverse jobs. Everything has changed except the school system. It has not changed in over 200 years, and something needs to be done about that, because it is still being treated like it's a factory job. It is still being treated like we are training to work in a factory for the rest of our lives until retirement.
They are training you. They are training you, because you know why it hasn't changed. We have changed and accommodated so many things to religion and all different types of other things, but when it comes to school, that's the last line of defense for the government to maintain any type of control over your child or over your person, right? You don't learn. You're not necessarily learning anything in school. You're using it and reciting it so that way you can function in the factory that is society, right? So you can do this, and you can stay compliant, because religion would have been right up there with schooling, and it is still up there with schooling, but it's slowly losing its grasp because a lot of people are getting into more spiritual concepts, spiritual ideas. It's evolving and changing as collectively within the conscious community, right? So, it's one of those things where they don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose that little bit of control. And if you change the way people are learning and you accommodate to the different learning styles of each individual, which will take a while to reform, but all it takes is one action. Because if you do that, you'll lose control. People will become free thinkers. The sheep in the pen will realize, hey, that gate over there is not holding me. I will jump over the fence and go see something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I can even take this even into a way that most people will understand. Video games. Let's look at the first games. Let's look at the very first video game that we had out there. Pong. Basically a digital format of playing tennis, if you really want to think about it that way. It is a digital tennis, is what Pong is. And that was the very first game we ever had. And it was very hard for anything to get done because of the limitations of our computers. because they were very rudimentary, they were very basic, they were quite literally very ancient. But that was the limitations we had back in the 1980s, because the best we had was, maybe if we were lucky, the maximum amount of storage is like what, a few kilobytes if you were lucky. I mean, I'm being serious. That's not even a joke. If you were lucky, you could get like 128 kilobyte storage computer, and everything you did was either in bits, which is 8 bits makes a byte. And it was either in bits or bytes on stuff that you could do. And that was back in the 80s. So everything is going to be very much pixelated if you make a game. So you have
your point.
Pong.
Your point in relation to the whole school thing, is it that everything else is evolving, but not the school
Yes.
systems.
Because if you look at today, let's look at what's coming up for us game-wise.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Darksiders 3 coming in. We've got Borderlands 3. We've got so much good stuff coming in, and that's still coming in. We've got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which a lot of people are saying is the best Legend of Zelda that's ever been made to date. Now, I personally say that while Breath of the Wild is good, it can't beat what is it? You can't beat Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, in my opinion, because to me, Twilight Princess is the Legend of Zelda game that got me to get serious about gaming. Because when I went into Twilight Princess years and years ago, back in the Stone Age.
Not Julie. Taryn, you're only 20 years old. Calm down.
Yeah, but it feels like if we look at the games that bring up our nostalgia now, kids today are going to be like, oh, this game's ancient.
That's how. See, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, because look, we are just now into the 21st century, right? But
yeah,
things are evolving so quickly.
New into it.
Things are evolving so quickly. You know,
it's getting to the point where new technology comes out every 2 years, and it's in some way bigger, in some way better, in some way overall faster, stronger, better, lighter, harder, and just better overall because of some technology that wasn't in it 2 years prior. Because, for example,
that time of like new technology, that time of like where like new technology is coming out like every 2 years, as you said. I feel like that is just, I mean, of course it is. It's just like increasingly getting shorter and shorter. We're going to start seeing stuff. There's going to be a point in time whenever we are older when things are going to be coming out each and every year.
Yeah, and let me take, for example, from the iPhone 5, which had, as I said, basic stuff that should have normally came with every phone, to the iPhone 6, and then to the 6S, just a few short years after that. You went from clicking everything normally to having a 3D
Somebody's
touch.
at the door. Somebody's at the door. I'll be right back.
All right.
Hold that thought. Alrighty, I am back. So what is it that you were saying, Taryn?
Well, look at what we've got now. We've got games where the pixels are so small you can't even see them quite easily unless you have a really high-powered TV. And where I was getting at was, look at where we had from iPhone 5 to iPhone 6S. That quickly went from clicking everything normally and nothing being different to suddenly having a 3D touch capability where if you press down harder on a certain app, and it can have a different effect on where you start in at on that app. And it's just...
That's a big jump. That's a really big jump if you actually think about that.
Yeah, I know. And then here's another one. From iPhone 7 to iPhone 8 and 10, suddenly having strictly a wired charger to charge the phone, now you've suddenly got a face ID to unlock the screen, and wireless port to charge the phone. And that's just one piece of many that's changing so much these days. And if you even take it a step further, we could even look into a lot of technology in other aspects as well. Because look at the first gaming console we had. For a lot of people, it was the Nintendo Entertainment System, or the NES.
Yeah.
You couldn't do much on it. And the games that you did have were either Mario, Duck Hunt, Metroid, and a few other things, like Legend of Zelda as well. And that's really what made Nintendo popular. And then now, just jump to today, you've got Microsoft in with their Xbox One and their Xbox One S and Xbox One X and Xbox One F that's got an 8% increase in power compared to the Xbox One X. And then you've got Sony bringing in for the PlayStation 4, the PS4 Pro, and the PS Vita and whatnot. You've got Nintendo in with its Switch and its 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Amazon over here doing whatever the heck they're doing. It's like they got their own phone, but that's about as far as they're going.
What do you think, since we have already, put out like a bunch of examples of, where things used to be and what they are now and the rate of growth, for certain technologies, what do you think would be the best thing for the school system, since we started out with talking about that and we brought up these examples? Because like I said, I feel like it should be something catering to each and every individual person. Actually, in thinking about that, I feel like that would be a really big jump to understanding each person and the way each person go about learning and all this stuff. But I feel like it should be in a way that doesn't, like, things like timed tests, things like timed anything, it limits creativity. You know what I mean? So it should be something that's very intuitive, very entertaining.
Well, here's one way I can think about how the school system could be changed here in the United States. In China, based on what you want to do with your life, the school system is adapted to what you want to do. If you want to do art for a living, the Chinese school system will set you up with a bunch of art classes. If you want to teach, a bunch of classes suited for teaching. If you want to do law enforcement, they'll set you up that way. If you want to make games, they'll set you up that way. It doesn't stop there. China is one of the more, how do I say this, changed countries in terms of technology and teaching, because they suit to the needs of your teaching based on what you want to do with your life. Japan is a little bit like that too, because as most people know, Japan is the leader in technology.
Yes, of course.
Because look what they got. They got Nintendo. They got electronics systems. They got Samsung. Actually, I think Samsung is Korea, but anyway, they are the leader in technology. They own, I think it might be, I'm not exactly sure at the moment, but no, Sony is. Samsung is Korea. Sony and Nintendo, those two are alone. But just think about it like this. Japan is the leader in robotics and whatnot, and technology in general. So, putting that into consideration, what do you think Japan would be doing with its school system? They'd be teaching you for what you want to do with your life. And it's not even just stopping there. It even goes a step further with college. Same thing. Now, the States is a little bit with the rest of the world in that regard for college. Because whatever you want to do, you just have to get it set up. And that's where it all starts, with us being behind in one aspect. because we don't teach what we need to teach.
Ooh, I
Because
just thought of something. Now,
go ahead.
taking what you just said and taking what we already know about other quote more developed countries in terms of technologies and schooling, would you say, since anybody who leaves the country is not an idiot, would you say that there are very powerful families within the and like different hierarchies within the American society that have more power, have more money, and therefore are able to teach their children, their circle of children, the same way? I know I'm getting really far away, but this is very interesting to me because any sane ruler, any sane leader would not allow their country to fall behind. But what if the greatest feat for a modern country such as America is to trick its citizens into believing that they are free when in reality they are working to further the higher up families?
Well, see, I don't see that as being too far off because here's one way to put it into perspective. The upper class and the 1% upper class, they're not going to send their kids off to a public school where, oh, they're poor people who make a modest living, who can make well enough on their own. No, they're going to send their kids off to a private boarding school where only the richest of the rich, where the snobbiest of the snobs are going to be living. If that offends anyone, I really don't care. That's how I think
What does
NSA might have been listening in. I think NSA was listening.
Oh, dude, that is really weird. Hey, okay. Well,
But yeah,
this is owned by Microsoft, so Bill Gates.
the match. About time to go.
Pausing. So, Taryn, you were saying you didn't think that it was far off. That's not a far off thing because these people they're not gonna send their children since they are, the upper class 1% or whatever you say.
Yeah, because from the higher people, from the people who make more money than us and don't even have to try, like, for example, Bill Gates' device.
No
But as I was saying, the people who are in the top percent, they're not going to send their kids off to a public school because, from their opinion, poor people go to school there. And they don't think their kid needs to be associated with poor people. So they're going to send them off to a private boarding school where only the richest of the rich go to school. Because private boarding school is really freaking expensive, and you're going to be learning about the same dang thing. And the hierarchy in the private school is exactly what you think it is. It's based on how much money each of the families make, how much money they all have in general and whatnot. It's basically like a breeding ground for snobs.
Right.
And if any of you are watching this and you happen to go to those kinds of schools, I don't mean to offend you. This is just how I've seen it in my 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
and it's also just a fact of life,
yeah, because there's going to be those who are lucky enough to be born into money. Some work for it, and some just aren't lucky enough to be born into money, and they have to work hard their entire life.
Right. So,
us two are among those people who have to work hard to get what we want.
And that's kind of why, I made this channel so I can dedicate my time, the time that I have, to working hard and doing something that I love at the same time. One of the biggest things I feel like we forget as one of the, quote, lower class citizens, or as some of the lower class citizens, is that things are not set up for us to enjoy what we want to do. We're not set up to enjoy the work that we are given. We are set up to, like we had talked about previously, we were set up and trained to literally work in a factory. People don't like factory work, but they're trained to work in the factory, and they get it done. And I think regardless of if you're doing what you love, if you're still within that system, you are still working for the factory. So, regardless of if this stuff becomes successful, Taryn, I feel like I'd still be working inside the factory of society. So, they're really for me the biggest thing in the world is the spreading of information and the reformation of not only school systems and other ideas and other ideologies out there, but the reformation of those things within the people. That's how they control people. It's not. It's as much as the outside things as well as the inside things. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
for the upper class, the upper class people, you know, I feel as if this is where the notions of a secret society come about, because there really is no way out of this lower class living, if you don't have a helping hand from somebody who is up there, right? You can work hard all your life. There are people who work very, very, very hard, and when they reach like 30 something years old, they've accumulated. They may not have it all with them, but they've accumulated, all together the money throughout their paychecks, millions and millions of dollars, but they don't have that, right? Because they're always having to pay for things, which just end up in the upper class's hands. So, it's it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, I do not feel as if the democracy in which that, America and Americans just thrive on and boast about is something that involves the people. I feel like it is still very much like a king and queen type of society. You know what I mean? There are kings and there are queens
Right.
out there, and there are the nobles, right? The people who work for those higher ups, the people who do this stuff and the other, who own certain corporations, right? That have a giant part in the emotional destruction of the people. So
Yeah, and if you really do stop and think about it, nothing truly is free.
right,
Because you've got to work tooth and claw to get what you want if you are born in the middle class or the lower class. And if you are, then once you turn 16, you've got to start looking on where you can work. And once you find a place, you stay there until you run out of a way to get there, or you get tired of working in that place. Then you stop working there and you look for somewhere else. And it goes on until you find somewhere that you really like working and don't want to leave until you're ready to retire, which is what some people manage to do. Like my father, for instance. He works at a Walmart distribution center. He loves it there. He has worked there for 12 years, and he will most likely continue working there until the day he retires. Does he enjoy his job? Yes. Does he have good days and bad days? Also yes. But he wouldn't trade it for the world. So that's just, for example, a career out of a job.
right. I get that.
So when you have a career and you enjoy it, you're not going to work but a day. You're not going to work a day because you love doing what you do. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to love it all the time. There are going to be days when you just don't want to go to work, or you're just irritable at everything and you just want everything to burn. Now, of course, those days are going to be your bad days. But then there are also the days when everything is just going so well that you're just like, this day couldn't get any better. And then somehow it does.
See, that stuff, what you have described just there to me, is one of the two types of success. We know that the economy and that the way society's set up, it's just a giant game, and that's why we're moving into learning how to play the game, not just be an NPC, but becoming a playable character and be a part of the game.
Right.
One of the forms of success, which you just said, was hey, I may not necessarily have the most money in the world, but I enjoy my life and I enjoy my existence right now. That is success. That success is even more, I would say, important and even more detrimental to your person than the success with just money. Because if you don't enjoy it, but you're just accumulating money, you're gonna have a very sad existence. But what if you can move? What if you can move both of those successes into one
Karen's
accord?
gonna be here in just a minute, so you need to get off
Okay.
for your day, whatever you're doing, and get ready for the day.
Okay.
Jaden and Peyton. Or Jaden.
All right, so we'll close it up. We'll close it up. But I'll leave you with this. I'll leave you with this. So what if you could bring the loving of your job, that type of success, loving your life, loving your existence, and the you know what I'm trying to say.
Monetary value.
Yeah, the monetary value type of success into one accord. Bring both of those types of success to where you love your job, you love your existence, but you're also having success within the game. I feel like hacking the game is realizing that you are a playable character, not just some NPC. But even though I also feel that the emotions tied to, this is just me, just in relation to games in general, but the emotions and the emotes and the stuff like that are tied to NPCs are just as real as any other playable character. The only thing is, an NPC to me is a playable character that doesn't realize that they're a playable character.
Yeah, and if you want to take it a step further, as you were saying with the types of success, there's the success where monetary-wise, you got everything you want, but you didn't get what you really needed.
Right.
And then there's also the type of success where, yeah, you're making enough to get by, and you're getting everything else that you were wanting to get.
I'll call you back later. I love you. Bye.
Is this where you're gonna have to go?
Yeah, that's about all the time I've got for today.
Alright, guys, so that was... Say your name, Taryn.
Lei'Sho the Sylderon Verusen.
That was that. And you guys already know me, Sylderon. I'll talk to you guys in another one. And yeah, thanks for watching. Peace out. And hopefully, yeah, if you guys like these talks, go ahead and put a comment down at the bottom, and I'll keep doing more of these. I really love to talk and do discussions with Taryn, and hopefully with Julian in the future. I probably should have said his name because he doesn't like his name out there, but I'll probably cut that out.
Be sure to hit that be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button to make sure you can get the next videos on the dot.
I'll probably cut that out, and all you're gonna hear is just no noise whatsoever. It's just gonna be like a space in the audio. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace. Break the law. I know that sounds very weird to say all the time. It's weird, especially since my mom's here. But peace out, guys.